His example of his senses. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to Bhakti-sastri class. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhushtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sadvajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschakta Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarur Vyasya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees to our last class on the book Sri Ishopanishad. With this, we'll complete this unit. 2 mantras are left. The theme is the same. Devotees praying to the Supreme Lord to allow him to get a glimpse of the Supreme Lord, and in that way get an entrance into the understanding of and realization of personal aspects of the Supreme Lord. For that purpose, the devotee is praying. Let's look at the mantra 17. So in this prayer, the mood has now shifted to a different aspect. The devotee is praying to Krishna that at the time of death, when that moment will come, how his or her consciousness should be. It's a prayer to the Lord to kindly remember, the services done by oneself. Of course, if you don't pray to Krishna, still Krishna will remember whatever we have done for Krishna. But out of devotional sentiments, the person is speaking like that. Vayur anilam amritam athedam bhasmantam shariram om kratosmara kritam smara kratosmara kritam smara. The meaning is, let this temporary body be burned to ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you. Om Kratosmara Kritam Smara. Remember everything that I have done for you. Let's look at the explanations given by different acharyas. So first is Vayur Anilam. Which air is this? Vayuhu is mentioned here. So which air is this? Baladeva Vidyabhushana Prabhu says, this Vayu does not refer to the air of the 5 gross elements. It refers to prana, the subtle body of the individual, the 5 life airs, which are the expansion of Vayu element. So this is, of course, a bit of technical information. So when we say water, earth, fire, air, and sky or ether, that air, which is called as air, is basically the wind which moves around. Now, that wind is not exactly the air which gives us life. That air is known as prana. It looks similar, but it is not similar. The quality of it is not the same. The functionality of it is not the same. So this Vayu refers to prana, the subtle body of the individual, the 5 life airs. We have studied about them a bit in Bhagavad-gita. And it's all coming from the Vayu element. And there is a personality who's known as Vayu Devata. And this Mukhya Prana is basically an expansion of Lord Vishnu. So when we say Hanumanji is an incarnation of Vayu, Madhvacharya is an incarnation of Vayu, Bhimasen is an incarnation of Vayu, it doesn't refer to the wind which is blowing around. That refers to incarnation of Mukhya Prana, the life air. And those personalities are therefore devotees of Krishna, because that Mukhya Prana is basically an expansion of Vishnu. So they come right from the spiritual world. And it's different from this air, one of the elements of 5 Panchabhuta elements. And Anilam, this refers to the totality of all jivas. This is sometimes also called Samashti Jiva, Hiranya Garbha, Sutra Atma, or Mukhya Prana. Why I thought of mentioning all this to you? Because this is not your end of studying the scriptures. You'll study Srimad Bhagavatam. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll come across these terminologies, Hiranya Garbha, and then Mukhya Prana, Samashti Jiva, Vyashti Jivas. So it means totality of all jivas, which means all the jivas put together, they have a combined state of consciousness. You remove them individually, then they have their individual consciousness. But when you put them together, they have a combined state of consciousness. And that combined state of consciousness forces the world to move in a particular direction. Like, for example, Kali Yuga is Kali Yuga. Why? Because in this age, at this moment, all the beings who exist on the planet, they have a certain kind of consciousness collectively. And that's what is driving the age, Kali Yuga, right? So that's why you'll find, you go to any part of the world at present, though people are born in different cultures, though they have different languages, but you'll find some basic traits are there in them which is common. That's what we come to know from Srimad Bhagavatam, that the cheating tendency is too strong, which is a symptom of age of Kali, right? So anywhere you go, it doesn't matter, that cheating tendency, the tendency to not follow dharma, it's very strong in any being. So that is a collective consciousness. So this is called Samashti Jiva, who is a deity embodying all jivas in the subtle state of Mahat Tattva before Ahankar becomes manifest. So we have studied this in the subject of creation, that before the individual jivas manifested, all the jivas were bundled together, right? Together. So that's called Samashti Jiva, having a particular kind of collective consciousness. And then they individually come out, sprout from there. All right. So we go back to the beginning slide. Om Kratusmara Kritam Smara. So Vedanta Deshika says, the Lord is addressed here as Kratu. Kratu means sacrifice. Because he is the essence of sacrifice and knowledge. Aham Kratuhu, Aham Yajna, Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita. It is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice. So Om Kratusmara Kritam Smara. Basically, Om is an address. Like we say Om Vishnu, right? Om Vasudevaya Namah. And so Om is the beginning address, and then the name of the Lord is Kratuhu. So he's requesting, O Lord, Kratu, who is the master of sacrifice, remember, Smara, my sacrifices that I have done for your pleasure. And why there is repetition? We'll discuss that further. Kritam smara, krato smara, kritam smara. He's saying 4 times the same thing. So a question might be asked, does God who is omniscient need a reminder? Madhvacharya says, here invoking the Lord, the devotee is invoking the Lord. Okay, please mute yourself. So Madhvacharya says that by saying like this, one is invoking the Lord to remember can only mean have mercy on me, since the Lord is eternally knowing all the things. So you're not telling the Lord that you might have forgotten. No, you know, Lord cannot forget. But this is a way of expressing your feelings. So he's saying, please remember what I have done for you. Like, I don't know if you've heard the name of this devotee, Ramadaso of Bhadrachalam. How many of you have heard his name? Bhadrachalam Ramadaso. What is his name? No? No one? Yes. Srinivas Gopal.
Yes, Prabhuji, I hear. Prabhuji. I know his story, life story.
Yeah, beautiful story. So you also know Vishvanatha. So for those who are from South India, they must be knowing some of them. Yes. So very beautiful story, actually. It's amazing. So this devotee, he takes loan, he borrows money to construct the temple of the Lord Ramchandra and Mother Sita, right? And because of that, then he was put into jail because he was not able to pay back that loan. And in the jail, he composed beautiful poems. And in those poems, he would, in fact, chastise Lord Ramchandra, scold Lord Ramchandra, Mother Sita, and tell Mother Sita, you know, the golden necklace you are wearing, I gave it. And you see, I am stuck in the jail. You know? So don't you remember this big temple, so much of gold, all was arranged by me. And look at my situation. I am suffering in the jail. What kind of God you are? You should come and help me. So here, it doesn't mean that he has forgotten Ram is Bhagavan, Sita is goddess, and they are all merciful. It's just an outpour of devotional feelings or sentiments. That's why on that basis, he's saying, please remember, I did so much for you. So remember all of that and help me now. So that in that way, here the prayer is being spoken, not that Krishna might have forgotten and Krishna has to be sent a reminder. Not like that. Vedanta Deshika says, by saying Kritam Smara, the devotee asks the Lord to review his previous service. Remember whatever little favorable acts I have done for you, since you know all that I did, please protect me. And if there is something lacking, kindly complete whatever it is. That's the mood with which it's being said. So is this a prayer of pure bhakti? No. Is it really a prayer of pure devotional service? What the person is speaking here? Yes, no? Yes? Yes, someone saying yes. What about others?
No.
No.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, no.
No, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
It's a prayer of pure bhakti.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. No. So those who are saying no, you must be saying no because he's asking for something. That's why you're saying no, right? Those who are saying no, I'm just asking. You're saying no because he's asking for something. He's asking for a favor. Is that the reason to say no? Yes. Okay. And those who are saying yes, they are saying yes, thinking that this is just a devotional sentiment and he's expressing his bhakti to Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Is that the reason why you're saying yes? So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, no, it's not a prayer of pure bhakti. And why it's not a prayer of pure bhakti? Please remember, who is the person now in this situation? Not a pure devotee, no. It's a person who has been an impersonalist, who is now trying to get darshan of the Supreme Lord and entering into personalism and becoming a devotee. You're understanding? The audience of the book Ishopanishad, or the person who is speaking the prayer of the Ishopanishad, is not a pure devotee. is an impersonalist turning into a devotee. So that means the prayer cannot be pure now because he has not yet become a pure devotee of Krishna. The prayer is still mixed. However, it doesn't mean because the prayer is mixed, I should not speak such kind of prayers. I'll pray from my level only, right? My prayers will be from my level. If I am at the level of a karmi, I'll pray like a karmi. If I'm at the level of a jnani, I'll pray like a jnani. If I'm a yogi, I'll pray like a yogi. If I'm a devotee, then I'll pray like a devotee. And if I'm a pure devotee, I'll pray like a pure devotee. So this is not pure prayer because here he's asking of liberation from material world. So what is this kind of bhakti? It is called Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Bhakti mixed with desire for liberation. Fine. That's how it is. Now, when you say pure bhakti, what is the prayer then? Then the prayer is something what Kulashikar Maharaj said. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Adyeva Me Vishuto Manasaraja Hamsa. There he is not telling Krishna, Krishna, remember my services, my activities, my deed. He's telling his mind, you remember Krishna. At the moments of death, let now my death come and let my now, because my mind now is thinking of Krishna. So he's basically instructing his mind to always remain Krishna conscious. He's not asking Krishna a prayer, a favor, He's just saying, let death come now when my mind is focused on Krishna. And here the person is asking, Krishna is asking for a favor of liberation. However, this kind of devotional service opens the door to pure devotional service. It's a step towards pure devotional service. So there's nothing wrong to pray like this. If we are at this level, we can pray like this only. And he's speaking so many times the same phrase, Kritam Smara, because it's like urging the Lord to help quickly. Come very quickly. When you are asking for help in that fashion, then you'll speak out many times the same word, help, 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 3 times, 4 times, which means it's urgent. I need it badly. So that's the mood or attitude here. Okay, let's study the purport. This paragraph. Those who did not read yesterday can read today. Ratnangi Lakshmi Priyam.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu. In the material world, material nature displays wonderful workmanship by creating varieties of bodies for the living beings according to their propensities for sense gratification. The living entity who wants to taste stool is given a material body that is quite suitable for eating stool, that of a hawk. Similarly, one who wants to eat the flesh and blood of other animals may be given a tiger's body equipped with suitable teeth and claws. But the human being is not meant for eating flesh, nor does he have any desire to taste stool. Even in the most aboriginal state, human teeth are so made that they can chew and cut fruit and vegetables. Although there are 2 canine teeth, so that primitive humans can eat flesh if they so desire. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. Next paragraph. Gunagrahi Karanga.
Hare Krishna. But in any case, the material bodies of all animals and men are foreign to the living entity. They change according to the living entity's desire for sense gratification. In the cycle of evolution, the living entity changes bodies one after another. When the world was full of water, the living entity took an aquatic form. Then he passed to vegetable life, from vegetable life to worm life, and from worm life to bird life, from bird life to animal life, and from animal life to human form. The highest developed form is this human form, when it is possessed of a full sense of spiritual knowledge. The highest developed spiritual sense is described in this mantra. One should give up this material body, which will be turned to ashes, and allow the year of life to merge into the eternal reservoir of year. The living being's activities are performed within the body through the movements of different kinds of air, known in summary as a pranavayu. The yogis generally study how to, yeah, Prabhuji, could you please just spell that? Yeah, how to control the years of the body. The soul is equipped to rise from one circle of year to another until it rises to the Brahma Randhra, the highest circle. From the point, the perfect he can transfer himself to any planet he likes. The process is to give up material body and then enter into another. But the highest perfection of such changes occurs only when the living entity is able to give up material body altogether, as suggested in this mantra, and enter into the spiritual atmosphere where he can develop a completely different type of body, a spiritual body which never has to meet death or change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Amrita Vilasa.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandana Pranam. From unlike, right?
Yes.
Okay. Unlike the simple animals who has no developed mind, the dying human beings can remember that the activities of his life, like dreams at night. Therefore, his mind remains surcharged with material desires, and consequently, he cannot enter into the spiritual kingdom with a spiritual body. The devotees, however, develop a sense of love for Godhead by practicing devotional service to the Lord. Even if at the time of death, a devotee does not remember his service to the Lord does not forget him. This prayer is given to remind the Lord of the devotee's sacrifices. But even if there is no such reminder, the Lord does not forget the service rendered by his pure devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So Prabhupada says here, even if there is no such reminder, the Lord does not forget the service rendered by his pure devotee. Okay, let's read this paragraph. Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains these verses in this way. One should regard a devotee of Krishna to be on the right path of the saints, even though such a devotee may seem to be 𝗪𝗲, a person of loose character. One should try to understand the real purport of the word 𝗪𝗲. A conditioned soul has to act for double functions, namely for the maintenance of the body and again for self-realization. Social status, mental development, cleanliness, austerity, nourishment, and the struggle for existence are all for the maintenance of the body. The self-realization part of one's activities is executed in one's occupation as a devotee of the Lord, and one performs actions in that connection also. One must perform these two different functions along parallel lines. Because a conditioned soul cannot give up the maintenance of his body, the proportion of activities for maintenance of the body decreases. However, in the proportion to the increases in devotional service, as long as the proportion of devotional service does not come to the right point, there is a chance of an occasional exhibition of worldliness. But it should be noted that such worldliness cannot continue for long, because by the grace of the Lord, such imperfections will come to an end very shortly. Therefore, the path of devotional service is the only right path. If one is on the right path, even on occasional occurrence of worldliness does not hamper one of the advancement of self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So this is a very instructive paragraph. Quoting which verse of Bhagavad-gita? 9.30. Apichet sudurachara. Yes. So quoting that verse, Srila Prabhupada is explaining what Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote on that verse. That one should try to understand the real purport of this word. A conditioned soul has to act for double functions. What are those double functions? First is maintenance of the body, and second is self-realization. Right? Of course, these are those who are interested in self-realization. Those who are not interested in self-realization, they have only one activity to perform: maintenance of the body. These two different activities are activities of two different realms. One is activity of material realm and the other is activity of spiritual realm. So the principles I have for the spiritual activities, sometimes those principles are not practical or practically suitable for my material activities. To give you an example, spiritually, I have to be very kind, tolerant, forgiving person. But when you're living in a world which is like dog-eat-dog world, you have to also be very smart, clever when you're dealing with materialistic people. If you allow yourself to be exploited by them, they will exploit you 10 times more. That's how the nature of people are in materialistic society. So a devotee has to sometimes, wear different hats in different situations, right? Just for practical reasons. So Prabhupada says, social status, mental development, cleanliness, austerity, nourishment, struggle for existence are all for the maintenance of the body. The self-realization part of one's activity is executed in one occupation as a devotee of the Lord, and one performs actions in that connection also. One must perform these two different functions along parallel lines. Why? Because a conditioned soul cannot give up the maintenance of his body. The proportion of activities for maintenance of the body decreases, however, in proportion to the increase in devotional service. As long as the proportion of devotional service does not come to the right point, there is a chance for an occasional exhibition of worldliness, which means we should not be surprised if we see devotees fighting. We should not be surprised if we see devotees feeling anxiety. Oh, what about my prasadam plate? Will I get a plate of prasadam or not? All those seemingly mundane things, one should not get too much disturbed, because one should understand in this particular stage of Krishna consciousness that devotee is struggling between the two realms, material also and spiritual also. So you cannot expect that person to behave like a liberated soul. Right? Understand? Like to give an example. If you are gone for a yatra, which has 2,000 people participating, and you are given the job of doing prasadam seva, fine. And you are standing in the prasadam counter, and the queue of 2,000 devotees is coming and they are taking prasadam. And then you suddenly realize If I keep on just serving and serving, at the end, no prasadam will be left for me. Fine. So in that situation now, you can do two things. One is, it's okay, I am a devotee, I can skip prasadam today, no problem. I should just think about serving. I should not think about my own prasadam, right? You can think like that. But you can do that how many times? Maybe breakfast, but not breakfast also, lunch also, dinner also, and tomorrow also the same thing, third day also the same thing. Then you'll collapse soon. Soon you'll collapse, right? So in that situation, if that devotee takes a plate, puts some prasadam on it, and keeps it, away for him to or her to eat after the service, it's not considered wrong, because that devotee is still not on the liberated platform. Right? At that time, we cannot be too idealistic. No, Prabhu, seva first. This is also part of the seva. If there's no food in the belly and there's no energy in the body, how will seva happen? Right? So, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu has lots of experience in distributing prasadam. His funda is that those who are going to serve, feed them first. So then they have no anxiety. Make their belly full. They have no anxiety now whether my gulab jamun will be there or not, my paneer sabji will be there or not. Let them be fully satisfied and let them now do seva. No anxiety for them. So now what you are trying to do is that we are understanding, because we are not dealing with liberated souls, we have to make Krishna consciousness very practical. Understanding that they have a body and that body has a need. They have a mind and that mind has a need. But as Prabhupada said, as you start making progress, then naturally for you, it becomes more easier to shift from the material realm to the spiritual realm. Then it's not artificial. Then you can survive without eating also, or you can survive without sleeping also. That stage can also come, Then you don't depend on those things. And we have examples of Vaishnavas like that, who did not depend on bodily necessities at all. I mean, they ate if there was food. They did not eat if there was no food. And it doesn't mean because of that they became skinny, because of them that they had to be admitted in the hospital, they could not function well. No, they would function like a normal person only. The reason is now they are beyond the bodily platform. But till that time, some kind of worldliness will be there, and we need to be understanding. So if I see a devotee in anxiety about prasadam, anxiety about house, anxiety about employment, anxiety about whether I'm getting married to the right person or not, anxiety about those things, we should not tell that devotee, no, you should not think about it. No need to plan. Krishna will take care of everything. Yes, Krishna will take care of everything. But because I'm not on that level, I'll also have to put efforts for all those maintenance. Right? It's natural. At that stage, it's natural. So Prabhupada says here, such kind of worldliness should not be marked as that devotee's insincerity or that devotee's ingenuity. Right? It's natural. So in such situation, what is the solution then? In such situation, then the role of community comes in. Like this person has problem getting a job, let the community of devotees help him or her get a job. This person has problem finding a life partner, let the community of devotees come forward and help that person to find a life partner. This person has to go through a surgical operation and he or she does not have money, let the community of devotees come forward to help that person. That's how the solution should be. But it should be noted that such worldliness cannot continue for long, because by the grace of the Lord, such imperfections will come to an end very shortly. That will happen. Right. Okay. Let's read this paragraph. Tulasi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. All the facilities in this mantra can be easily obtained by constant contact with the personal feature of the Absolute Truth. Devotional service to the Lord consists essentially of 9 transcendental activities. 1. Hearing about the Lord. 2. Glorifying the Lord. 3. Remembering the Lord. 4. Serving the lotus feet of the Lord. 5. Worshipping the Lord. 6. Offering prayers to the Lord. 7. Serving the Lord. 8. Enjoying friendly association with the Lord. And 9. Surrendering everything unto the Lord. These 9 principles of devotional service, taken all together or one by one, help a devotee remain constantly in touch with God. In this way, at the end of life, it is easy for the devotee to remember the Lord by adopting only one of these 9 principles. The following renowned devotees of the Lord were able to achieve the highest perfection. 1. By hearing of the Lord, Maharaj Parikshit, the hero of Srimad Bhagavatam, attained the desired result. 2. Just by glorifying the Lord, 𝗄𝗶𝗹𝗹 Goswami, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, attained his perfection. 3. By praying to the Lord, Akrura attained the desired result. 4. By remembering the Lord, Prahalad Maharaj attained the desired result. 5. By worshipping the Lord, Prithu Maharaj attained perfection. 6. By serving the lotus feet of the Lord, the goddess of fortune Lakshmi attained perfection. 7. By rendering personal service to the Lord, Hanuman attained the desired result. 8. Through his friendship with the Lord, Arjuna attained the desired result. 9. By surrendering everything he had to the Lord, Maharaj Bali attained the desired result. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. Last paragraph. Bhakti Mataji.
Unless one is accustomed to devotional practice, what will he remember at the time of death when the body is dislocated? And how can he pray to the Almighty Lord to remember his sacrifices? Sacrifice means denying the interest of the senses. One has to learn this art by employing the senses in the service of the Lord during one's lifetime. One can utilize the results of such practice at the time of death. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, regarding the point of duracharaha, and then means a person who has bad character or a temporary display of bad character, that person is still accepted by Krishna, and his services are also accepted by Krishna, because Krishna looks at the presence of determination in that devotee. So this is what I always tell devotees: even if you are going through a bad phase in your spiritual life, like you are going through the low stage, not the high stage, the low stage, the best thing is not to, worry about it too much and continue to practice Krishna consciousness. Be determined. That determination attracts Krishna's mercy. Srila Vishwanatha Thakur very clearly explains in Madhurya Kadambini book that for most of the devotees, the journey to complete perfection will not be a slope, which is going up, a steep slope going up in one direction. For most of the devotees, the journey is going to be up and down and up and down and up and down. And that's what he explains. So why it's going to be up and down like that? Because our past karma will sometimes help us in our devotional service, and sometimes that past karma will become an obstacle in our devotional service. So when the past karma is helping us, everything is so favorable. Everything is good for you, for your bhakti. But when that past karma is not favorable, then you'll have those very bad days in life. Right? And those bad days will affect your consciousness. Naturally, because I am not yet liberated. So in that state, one should not give up Krishna consciousness. And this is where most of the people get out. They get knocked out. This is what happens. And so many people come onto the path of Bhakti Yoga, but only a small percentage of them are able to maintain their Krishna consciousness. Most of them, then they also find the exit door and they go out of it. you know. And when does that happen? That happens when that downfall happens in one's life. Things are not going good. But they don't understand that it is a natural course. Up and down will be there. You just have to remain on the path. And become steady in Krishna consciousness. So this is not that because I am not sincere, it's happening with me. Madhurya Kanamani Vishwanatha Thakur says, for most of the people, it's going to happen like that only. Right? For most of them, it's going to be like that only. Only for someone who is born as a pure devotee, their graph will be straight up. No. But for those who are not pure devotees, for them, the graph is not going to be like that. Which means there's no need to be too much frustrated or hopeless. One should have hope that yes, the process is working. In fact, if I'm going through that low phase and still I'm able to chant Hare Krishna and maintain my enthusiasm, the process is working because I'm able to get the strength to continue Krishna consciousness even during the bad days. Right? Fine. So we'll stop here. This mantra is over, completed. Any questions from this mantra? Yes, Punagayagaram Prabhu. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada said that the Lord does not forget the service rendered by his pure devotee. Krishna does not forget any service done by anyone. Srila Prabhupada, when Prabhupada writes the purport, generally Prabhupada writes the purport simplifying it very much. So Srila Prabhupada is not referring to a Gyan Mishra Bhakta in his purport. He's referring to us, the practitioners of Krishna consciousness. For understanding. Because the way he writes a purport is, though this book was meant for a different audience, let me make this book now for my audience. So when I told you about Gyan Mishra Bhakta, that is how we understand the book technically. Now, when you look at Prabhupada's purport are customized for members of Krishna Consciousness Society. They are customized versions of it. Very specific for our audience, for us. So for us, it's written like that the Lord does not forget the service rendered by his pure devotee. But actually, Lord does not forget the service rendered by anyone, whoever he or she may be. Okay, Prabhu. Is Ram Das belongs to Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, Prabhu? Yes. Yes, mostly yes. Mostly, 99.9% yes. It's called Bhadrachalam Ramadasu. There's a very beautiful movie also made on this personality. Nice movie. I did not understand because I don't know the language, but still I enjoyed it. So it was a nice movie. It was also, I think it was Telugu. It was Telugu. Where is Bhadrachala? It's a place called Bhadrachala. It's in Andhra, Vishwanath Prabhu?
It's in Telangana.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Telangana, right? Yeah, so the movie was in
Telangana.
But the songs are so beautiful. I mean, the way it is composed, it's such a nice poem, the things he wrote, and very sweet. And you can even, if you once read the meaning of it, you can, when you read the words or hear those words, you can connect. Yes, this is what he's saying. He would literally chastise Lord Ramachandra. I did so much for you. What are you doing for me? Different rasa. Yes, Anju Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have one small question on what you said just now. If the Lord does not forget, then should we say this mantra?
No, we already discussed that this particular mantra is being spoken by whom? By Agyana Mishra Bhakta. So it's not that I have to speak. There's no prescription like that. Agyana Mishra Bhakta speaks such kind of prayers. That's what we will learn. Now, if we are at that level, then we will naturally speak, even if you ask the question or not ask the question, because that will be the attitude, no? Right? But if you're not at that level, or we don't want to pursue that level, then we'll not speak such a prayer, or I will change the prayer, right? Our prayer will not be similar to it. Yes, Anjuna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. So as mentioned in the purport that when world was full of water, the living entity took an aquatic form. So is it meant like, it's not the initial anything, like it's not the beginning. Is it like, or Because as we read in Bhagavatam, in the story of Puranjan, it said that when you come down, like you initially have a human form and then you degrade from there and you go down and then there is an upscaling again. So how do we do this?
No, initially it starts with the higher species only. It doesn't start with the lower species. But
Okay.
Srila Prabhupada is not talking about the initial. He's talking about how the evolution happens and a person then gets a human birth again.
Okay.
So he's trying to emphasize on the progressive march ahead. Like, okay, I came from top, I fell down, fell down, fell down. I went to the lowest possibility of existence. And from there, I evolve. So what he's saying is that you have spent so many lifetimes to evolve to human form of life. Now, why live your life in such a way that you go down again? Use this life now to evolve further, go higher.
Yeah.
Right? So that's
Yeah.
how he's just using, you can say he's speaking the half-truth.
Yes.
For the purpose of inspiring the person to move forward in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, anything else? Vishwanatha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji?
Prabhu, the expression of Ramdas devotee towards Lord Rama is considered as pure devotion, or?
Yes, that's pure devotion.
Okay.
Of course, when you say pure devotion, pure devotional service again has levels based on who is your worshipable Lord.
Mhm.
So when someone has Lord Vishnu as worshipable Lord, and someone has Lord Ramachandra as worshipable Lord, and someone has Lord Krishna as worshipable Lord, then also Krishna of Dwarka and Krishna of Vrindavan, then a pure devotee of Vrindavan level will always be considered in his devotion superior to a devotee of Vaikuntha level. So though it is pure devotional service, still it has levels. Understanding? So yes, it is pure devotional service, but you cannot say his devotional service is as pure as a devotional service of gopis of Vrindavan. That's like the highest level of purity. So to explain in a different way, pure gold can also be like more pure and more pure and more pure, but it's pure. This is pure and that can be more pure. So this is pure devotional service. However, there are levels of higher pure devotional service also possible.
Prabhuji, I have a question. Can I ask?
Thank
Yes.
you.
Prabhuji, you said that we are not liberated souls, that even if we don't get food and all that prasadam, we cannot do without it. But what I feel, liberated souls, self-realized souls like our spiritual masters and all, can they remain without prasadam for days together?
They can remember if they have developed their body like that. Everything needs a practice, So if, let's say, if they have been yogis in the past and they have developed their body like that, then they can also live without food. But if they have not developed their body like that, their eating food will not declare them to be a non-devotee or not a pure devotee of Krishna. Still, they'll be considered as pure devotee of Krishna only, because whether you're eating food or not eating food, that does not decide whether you're a pure devotee or not pure devotee. Understanding? That's not the deciding factor. You can eat lots of prasadam and still be pure devotee, or you can eat no prasadam and still be a pure devotee of Krishna. So it depends on how that person has developed himself or herself on the physical platform, on the mental platform, on the intellectual platform, on the spiritual platform. So there can be some pure devotees who were yogis in the past, so they have too much of sense control and they can just live on air. But there can be devotees who did not have so much of practice of tapasya, austerity, and somehow by following the instruction of spiritual master, they have become pure devotees of Krishna, and they would eat lots of prasadam. Understanding?
Yes, thank you.
But that does not decide. That is not the deciding factor. That's not the deciding. Sanatana Nitai Prabhu, does it also mean I should not worship Vishnu and should only worship Krishna? You can worship Vishnu. Why? It's not about you should or you should not. It's about what you want. If you are getting some nourishment, some reciprocation by worshipping Lord Vishnu, and that's where your heart goes, continue with that. But if you naturally feel inclined to worshipping Lord Krishna in a particular form, go for that. It's not about should or should not. You see, that's why when you talk about the subject matter of pure devotional service, we have to stop thinking like a materialistic person. A materialistic person is like, okay, this is a product of this quality, and then there's a product of better quality, so I should reject the poor quality product and then go for the better quality product. That's the mentality of a materialistic person. When it comes to realm of pure devotional service, we don't do that kind of comparison that, because gopis are the best, so from today I want to become gopi. Now tomorrow you hear someone say, no, there is someone higher than gopi, then from tomorrow you want to become that higher person. Because you have that, you have that, ambition to be always at the top, the best. That is not the mood that one should cultivate in pursuing Krishna consciousness, right? That's why these topics are to be discussed and understood by people who have come little higher from the level of passion to goodness, and they don't see higher and lower the way a passionate person sees. A passionate person is, okay, that's higher, now that's my target, and the lower should be rejected. But here we are understanding that naturally someone will be attracted to Lord Vishnu, naturally someone will be attracted to Lord Krishna, and it's good for them like that. However, if you just do a comparative analysis, those who are worshipping Krishna in that bhav, they are considered more pure in their approach. Not that everyone has to become like that. So you can continue to worship Lord Vishnu, no problem. That's where your heart goes. What does samashti means? Samashti in English means collective. Put all together, that's called samashti. Vyashti means individual. Samashti means all put together. Samashti. So samashti jiva means all the jivas put together. What bad days do you have, Prabhuji? All you do is seva. No, bad days here doesn't mean that externally what you do will change. Bad days means the way the life brings situations to you will not be so favorable. That's called bad days. Things will not happen the way you want or expect. Like bodily illnesses, there, some kind of wrong thing happened in your family or some of your friend, relative, and you are sad about it. So many such things. So those are the bad days. Seva will continue, yes, no doubt about it. But there are good days and bad days, even in the life of a devotee, externally. Internally, it's all good. Okay, others also have hands up. Question or reading? Okay, no questions, right?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the beginning of introduction of Ishopanishad, you said that this Ishopanishad was came into the price of Yajna, the Vishnu avatar. And Prabhuji, you go.
Yes, I am listening to you.
Prabhuji. This where is the connection which the mantras is not connecting to that scenario?
Which scenario?
That introduction you said that this Ishopanishad came in that story you told, no, Prabhuji?
Swayambhu Manu.
Yeah.
Why it's not coming in that scenario?
Because I means how it is connected. You can means which mantra is connected like to that scenario.
See, it's just a part of everything he said. It's just part. Now, Swayambhu Manu is a pure devotee of Krishna, and he's also an avatar, Manvantara avatar, right? So, when he will speak, he's not going to speak something just for himself. He will speak something which will be useful to the greater society.
Yeah.
It's not that he was into trouble, so he will speak one line which is for himself. In that trouble situation, he glorified the Lord. And one way of glorifying the Lord is that you speak the Vedic mantras.
Yes, Prabhu, yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's just speaking this set of Vedic mantras.
But the mantras are not describing his problem, or it is not describing
It will
the
not.
Lord
It will not.
completely.
It will not. It is describing the Lord. No. So many mantras we discussed before. What was that? This was description only. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamuddachate Ishavashamidam Satyam. It's describing Krishna. It's describing
After that, it goes to his situations, and the mantras are changing.
That will change, because when a devotee speaks about absolute truth, he'll cover all the aspects of absolute truth. And all the aspects of absolute truth mean he'll speak about absolute truth, he'll speak about the process to achieve absolute truth, he'll speak about the process of self-realization, everything. Just like Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna has a very simple question, but to answer that simple question, Krishna goes to so many different places, right? And then comes back to the same topic. So that's how it is, that it starts on a particular note, but because absolute truth covers every single subject, all those things will also come out of the mouth of the speaker. Fine. Yes, it will not make sense to you, because you are thinking in a way that because he's into a problem, so he should immediately ask for solution for that problem. Finish. That's what Ishopanishad should be. But that will be only when you are into that situation. He is not like us, no. Who is he?
Manu, Swayambhu.
So, and he's Manvantar, avatar of Krishna. So that situation, you can say it's just an arrangement for Swayambhu Manu to speak out some mantras, which will be later on used by different people for their benefits. So he's speaking some prayers of some prayers to the absolute truth, means glorifying the absolute truth, and he's also speaking about the process of realizing the absolute truth. It's all put together.
Yes.
And at the end, he's also speaking prayer for that particular audience who is an impersonalist turning into a personalist. For you, it may be like, how will I use this prayer? But for someone who is an impersonalist turning into a personalist, for him, this prayer will become very useful. No? So for him, it's like the path of self-realization.
My question is, like, there is no beginning and to like closing topic and opening topic like that. There is nothing mantras. Yeah.
That's why it should be like that.
No, if it is related to that story, yeah.
Why it should be like that? It's not necessary to be like that. It's not a book which was composed or compiled for a specific purposes. You should know the Vedic mantras, they are spoken randomly by the speakers.
It can anyhow and end anyhow.
It can begin anyhow and anyhow. Now, because the mantras were like this, Vyasadeva, for our intelligence, which is very small intelligence and thinks the way you are thinking now, that's how we think, right? Chronology, order, theme. What did Vyasadeva do? He made one Vedas into 4 Vedas.
Yes, yeah.
Otherwise, one Veda had all the subject matter just put in no order. Just put in no order, you know. Like there was no theme, this topic now, that topic now, no theme, no order, all jumbled up together. Vedic knowledge. But because Vyasadeva understood that people who are going to come in future, they have linear thinking. Linear thinking means they think step by step. They don't have the other kind of thinking. They have linear thinking. So that's why then he divided the scriptures and made it like that. Okay, this theme, this chapter, that theme, that chapter, this theme, that chapter, and made it simpler for us. No? But originally, that's not how the Vedas were spoken. Even when Supreme Lord started teaching the Vedas initially, he did not give knowledge step by step. He just said the mantras. No order.
Bhagavad-gita is very systematic. No?
Bhagavad-gita is very systematic because Bhagavad-gita was, when was it presented?
No, Bhagavad-gita has a concept, Prabhuji. It's a concept is there.
When was it presented?
In the battlefield.
Which age?
Yeah, it's Kali Yuga beginning.
Dwapar is ending, Kali is beginning, right?
Yeah.
So then that's why it has a style. It has a different style.
Yeah, it has also, it has a style. It has itihasa also, yeah.
So we should know. Now look at Srimad Bhagavatam. Though we say there is a story in Bhagavatam, but where is actually flow in Srimad Bhagavatam? You find one episode coming here, it is incomplete, the same episode continues somewhere else, and then it starts from a different beginning only, right? Only when you study all these episodes, then you get the complete picture. Like, to give you an example, the story of Prahlada, Narsingha, Hiranyakashipu, you find it scattered throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. A portion of it comes in 3rd canto, then portion comes in 7th canto, then there is a description between, Narad Muni and Yudhishthira Maharaj. There's a conversation where Narad Muni begins to describe to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Now, when you combine all of that together, then you begin to know what is the actual story, right? Isn't it? It was not written by Vyasadeva in a chronological manner.
But Bhagavatam, they say it's a composition of 16 other Puranas concluded.
It has stories from there. It has stories from other places also. Not really that all the stories are similar. Some changes will be there. But anyway, we'll not go to that topic now. We are not doing a course on Srimad Bhagavatam. So the point I wanted to make here is the Vedas, the style they follow is different from Puranas. Puranas will have a storyline. Vedas will not have a storyline. Okay. Just like giving an example, if you study a law book, what is mentioned there? Just the laws, no? Law number 1, law number 2, law number 3, law number 4. Right? There's nothing like a story is there, situation is there. They are principles, they are clauses. Similarly, the Vedas are something like that. They are clauses. This is how it is. So Swayambhu Manu, for him, this is prayer. For us, it may not be a prayer. But for him, this was prayer. Because this is glorifying the Supreme Lord. Any Vedic mantra is glorifying the Supreme Lord. That becomes a prayer.
Yes.
Let me just complete the last thing. For us, prayer means until and unless I have something to ask to Krishna, I will not pray.
Yeah. Yes.
But for them, prayer means you speak any verse which is related to Krishna, whether it is whether you are asking to Krishna for something or glorifying Krishna, or you are talking about the process of devotional service, it will be considered as a prayer only.
Yeah. Yes, yes, Prabhuji, got it, Prabhuji. Since we are closing this Ishopanishad, maybe each sloka have some importance. No, Prabhuji, you can put like this sloka is for this one, this sloka is for this one. Something like for us, to memorize this sloka is mean for this one, like that.
That you on the slides, you see the first slide. There it is mentioned.
The first slide?
Yeah, I'll show you for the 18 mantra now. That first slide. It mentioned the theme of this mantra. What is the theme of this mantra?
Okay. Okay.
Right? So that we can see.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Small doubt. Why Swayambhu Manu took the audience as a considered as for the impersonalist? Any reason behind it? Because those time in Satya Yuga, the impersonalist is very less. I mean, compared to the personalist. But why? Any reason behind it? Well, audience as an impersonalist.
It's not that Swayambhu Manu has to speak for an audience who is impersonalist. He has spoken something like this, and then later on, the acharyas have studied and found that this message is meant for that kind of audience. See, the Lord, he will do things which it's not that he has a very specific purpose to speak something like that. It's this some way the Vedas have to manifest. You see, just like when we hear Krishna's pastime, we know Krishna's Panchajanya Kaunshal is his eternal Panchajanya Kaunshal, right? But then he had to kill a demon and then get that Kaunshal from him and then use that Kaunshal. But that's just a Leela aspect. It's an eternal Kaunshal which has manifested on the earthly world through that pastime, correct? Similarly, Ishopanishad verses are eternal verses manifested in the material realm through that situation. Not that Swayambhu Manu had to, he created this verses. They're eternally existing. In that situation, it came out of his mouth. Finish. That's how it is. All right. Okay. Let's take a break.
Hare
Okay, welcome back. Last mantra, mantra 18. So this slide tells you the theme of each mantra. Here the theme is prayer for Lord to guide us on the path to reach Him. It's the concluding prayer of the devotee who desires to achieve the Lord's mercy. Agnenaya supataraya asman vishvani deva vayunani vidvan yodayasmad juhuranameno bhuyishtham te nama uktim vidhema. Agnenaya supataraya asman. So it's a very beautiful translation. In the translation, it is said, O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins, so that there will be no hindrance to my progress. No hindrance to my progress. So if you really want to understand what is going on in the mind of such a person, that person is near death. Death is going to come soon. And when anyone dies, it is said that at that moment or before that moment, a person begins to see all that he has gone through or she has gone through the life, the good things, the bad things, whatever good things I have done, whatever bad things I have done, good things others have done to me, bad things others have done to me. So when this reel is playing, in that situation is praying to the Lord, all that is bad, you kindly purify all of that. You are as powerful as fire. Burn that to ashes. And all that is good, you kindly take that. You accept that. And in that way, be merciful on me. Do the filtering, because I have done both good things, I have done bad things. So you remove the bad, destroy them, don't consider them, overlook them, And the good ones, you accept them. And in that way, you bring me back to you, or you give me liberation, award me liberation, so that I have no hindrance to my progress. So that's a prayer of someone who has lived a life of mixed nature. Someone who has lived a pure life will not have fear of what wrongs he or she has done in the past. But someone who has not lived a pure life will have those fears, that what if my past will make me, not get the final goal or reach the final goal. So therefore, this kind of sentiment is being expressed. So in the slide, we'll see, even Prabhupada mentioned it. The Lord is addressed as fire because he can burn anything into ashes, including the sins of the surrendered soul. It also means Agni. Vedanta Deshika says, the Lord is addressed here as Agni because the Lord acts through the body of Agni. So which means that when the body is burned at the final moment, Antyeshti Sanskar, so the body is burned, fire is eating up the body. So that time the devotee is praying that it's you through that fire who is going to purify myself, my past, the sins I have done, which are stored in the body now. You purify all of that, and then you will take me back as a pure soul. Also, Agni means one who leads in front position, Agranayana, which means the Lord who is the master of all the demigods. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when the jiva remembers his previous sins, he becomes anxious concerning attainment of liberation. Therefore, he addresses the Paramatma as Agni. The purifying power of fire comes from the Lord. Interested in mukti? So praying for the Lord for purification. That's why it is mentioned by Srila Vishvanatha Thakur. When you are a devotee of Krishna, and if someone asks you why you're practicing Krishna consciousness, and then you say, because I have to purify myself, then he says, then you're not really practicing pure devotional service. Of course, you are on the step to practicing pure devotional service, but that statement means you're not on the platform of pure devotional service. Because for someone who's on the platform of pure devotional service, even if that person is engaged in activities which are, let's say, sinful, though that person will never engage in activities which are sinful, but even if that person is engaged in activities which are sinful, that person will never pray to Krishna to forgive his sins. That person will not pray like that. In that situation also, the only prayer that person will make is, even if I am living in hell because of my sins, let me serve you. Let me serve you. I don't want you to remove me from this hellish situation. In this hellish situation also, I'll continue to serve you. So that's the level of pure devotional service. That even if you're living in hell, your prayer to Krishna is not to take you out of the hell. But the prayer is, in this hellish situation, how can I make you happy? Or how can I serve you? What can I do for you? That's the prayer. That's pure devotee. Not that remove this obstacle, remove this challenging situation, make the environment more conducive for my Krishna consciousness. That attitude is not there. And you can look at Prabhupada's life, nowhere he prayed to Krishna that my things are so difficult for me, I'm struggling for 40 years and I'm not able to fulfill the mission of my spiritual master. Nowhere you find Prabhupada speaking anything like that to Krishna. Nowhere. None of his writings show that mood. Whether Krishna is putting him in lower East Bowery in New York, amongst drunkard people, addicted, totally discarded from society, or Krishna is putting him in the midst of impersonalists. Krishna is putting him amongst Indians who don't want to take to Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada is not telling Krishna, take me out of this situation. What he's trying to do, how can I serve Krishna in this situation? So that's the level of pure devotee. However, here, because it's not a pure devotee, the prayer is help me to come out of this situation. Help me to come out of this situation. Is it wrong to pray like that? Not at our level. At our level, we can pray like that because we are not here already at the platform of pure devotional service. If Krishna does not take out of us this situation, we will leave Krishna consciousness. So it's better to pray to Krishna that please take me out of this situation. But for pure devotees of Krishna, they are not going to leave Krishna consciousness anyway. So they did not pray to Krishna to take them out of that situation. Right, isn't it? So for a practicing devotee, when things are very difficult, there's nothing wrong to ask Krishna for favor. We can and we should. If we'll not, then maybe things will become so difficult for us that we'll leave Krishna consciousness. It may happen. So there's nothing wrong to ask Krishna for help, for favor, that Krishna protect me, help me, support me. But pure devotees will not do that generally because they are not afraid of such situations. Next, Bhaktivinoda Thakur then further says, it's very nice. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very amazing, genius, the way he explains Krishna consciousness. So then he says, when the jiva understands that there is no method except devotion to the Lord with suitable knowledge and detachment, he prays in this way. Knowledge here refers to knowledge of God. So then he says there are three types of knowledge or three levels of knowledge. Vishwa Gyan, Ishwar Gyan, and Bhakti or Bhakti Gyan. Fine. So knowledge of universe is known as Gyan. Ishwar Gyan is knowledge of God. And Bhakti is knowledge of devotion to God, also known as Pragyan. So Gyan, Vigyan, and Pragyan. Knowledge of devotion to God is Bhakti. Knowledge of God is knowing Ishvara. So when one cultivates knowledge of God, that leads to maximum Paramatma realization. Only when one cultivates knowledge of Bhakti, then one gets qualified to enter into spiritual kingdom and participate in Krishna Leela. Fine. These are the three different levels of knowledge. Okay. Then it says, Yuyodhyasmach juhuranam eno. It is explained like this by Vedanteshika. Enaha means sins. So sins are of two types. It's a prayer. Please forgive my sins. Please purify my sinful activities. So sins are of two types. One kind of sin is you did not do what you should have done. And another kind of sin is you did what you should not have done. Right? So omitting one's duty is also sinful, and doing the wrong thing is also sinful. Not just if I don't do anything wrong, I am a pure person. No. If you also don't do the right thing, that is also an impurity. Both the ways. So sins are of two types. So he's saying, can you remove or separate us from our sin? Why? Because sins have these two problems associated with it. First, sin acts as obstacle on the path of liberation. And the next is, sin produces inconceivable variety of crookedness in us. Two things. It's an obstacle on the path of liberation, and sin makes us a crooked person, which means the simplicity of the heart will go away. And when that simplicity of heart goes away, understanding the science of devotional service becomes very difficult. Then that science of devotional service is not understood because the heart is not simple. So this is the problem. So why we have to become sinless? Not because we want to achieve liberation. We have to become sinless so that we can understand Krishna consciousness or devotional service. We can develop correct understanding of what is devotional service. That's why we have to become sinless. Otherwise, that understanding will not develop. Our crookedness will not allow us to understand what is real Krishna consciousness. So we will understand Krishna consciousness, but we'll understand Krishna consciousness in the wrong way. And we will start imagining this is Krishna consciousness. But actually it will not be Krishna consciousness. So living a pure life is therefore so important. Sinless life makes us understand bhakti. What is bhakti? All right. And finally, many times we maybe offer respects to you in order to become pure. We cannot repay you for responding to our desires. All we can do is offer repeated respects. Nama uktim vidhema. I'm saying nama. Nama means to bow down, offer respects. Uktim. Uktim means to say. So I'm saying this again and again to you, repeatedly to you, to purify myself, right? Now let's look at the purpose. First paragraph. Umapati Babu.
Hare Krishna. Offered by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. By surrendering to the Lord and praying for His causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self-realization. The Lord is addressed as fire because He can burn anything into ashes, including the sins of the surrendered soul. As described in the previous mantras, the real or ultimate aspect of the Absolute is His feature as the personality of Godhead, and His impersonal Brahma Jyoti feature is a dazzling covering over His face. Fruitive activities or the Karma Kanda, path of self-realization, is the lowest stage in this endeavor. As soon as such activities even slightly deviate from the regulative principles of the Vedas, they are transformed into vikarma, or acts against the interest of the actor. Such vikarma is enacted by the illusioned living entity simply for sense gratification, and thus such activities become hindrances on the path of self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. By surrendering to the Lord and praying for His causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self-realization. Two things, by surrendering day by day and praying day by day for His causeless mercy. Okay. Kunal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The regulative principles are set that the one who follows them is promoted from the platform of fruitive activities to the platform of transcendental knowledge. After many lifetimes of cultivating transcendental knowledge, one becomes perfect when he surrenders unto the Lord. This is the general procedure, but one who surrenders at the very beginning, as recommended in this mantra, at once surpasses all preliminary stages simply by adopting the devotional attitude. As stated in the Bhagavad-gita 18.66, the Lord at once takes charge of such a surrendered soul and frees him from all the reactions to his sinful acts.
All right.
There are
Thank you. Thank you. So here the steps are mentioned. So Sripad is talking about this particular side. That so in human form of life, one can first engage in karma kanda, which is the lowest stage. And here the sinful nature is present in huge amounts. Little deviation, a person engages in sinful activity, lots of sinful activities. So that's called vikarma. Then from there one rises slowly to jnana kanda after maybe many lifetimes. sins are less. And then finally one comes to bhakti. Bahunam janmanam ante, after many, many births, and then there is no sin. But here Srila Prabhupada explained in that few lines, one can either follow this gradual process, or one can directly, even at the lowest stage, directly surrender to Krishna by adopting the devotional attitude. Surrender through bhakti. There is surrender through karma, there is surrender through jnana, and there is surrender through bhakti. Surrender through karma and jnana takes long time, but surrender through bhakti is immediate. So one can, by the knowledge of devotional service, immediately surrender to Krishna. And then practically there is no chance for that person to engage in sinful activities, which means liberation is very easily achieved by that person. Bhakti is, that's why bhakti is the best. That's what he's trying to explain here. Okay, this paragraph. Shavani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. In this mantra of Sri Ishopanishad, the devotee prays to the Lord to rectify him from within his heart. To err is human. A conditioned soul is very often apt to commit mistakes, and the only remedial measure to take against such unintentional sins is to give oneself up to the lotus feet of the Lord, so that he may guide one to avoid such pitfalls. The Lord takes charge of fully surrendered souls. Thus, all problems are solved simply by surrendering oneself unto the Lord and acting in terms of his directions. Such directions are given to the sincere devotee in two ways. One is by way of the saints, scriptures, and spiritual master, and the other way is by way of the Lord himself, who resides within the heart of everyone. Thus, the devotee, fully enlightened with Vedic knowledge, is protected in all respects. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Last paragraph. Vijaya Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is itself an act of piety. The Lord wants everyone to hear and chant his glories because he is the well-wisher of all living entities. By hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one becomes cleansed of all undesirable things, and then one's devotion becomes fixed upon the Lord. At this stage, the devotee acquires the Brahminical qualifications, and the effects of the lower modes of nature, passion and ignorance, completely vanish. The devotee becomes fully enlightened by virtue of his devotional service, and thus he comes to know the path of the Lord and the way to attain him. As all doubts diminish, he becomes a pure devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So last slide, the steps are shown here. You can take note of them. Hearing and chanting is the first step. Cleansed of all undesirable things, anartha nivritti. Devotion fixed upon the Lord Nishtha. Acquires Brahminical qualifications, all the good qualities develop. Effects of lower modes completely vanish. Fully enlightened by virtue of bhakti. Comes to know the path of the Lord. Becomes a pure devotee. Starts with hearing and chanting. That hearing and chanting will purify the heart. Then once one becomes steady in devotional service, then one will develop all the good qualities of a Brahmana, which means Rajaguna and Tamoguna will start disappearing. Only then one will be actually situated in knowledge. That is where, when we start reading the scripture again, we begin to actually understand the scripture truly. Because now there is no filter through which we are understanding the scripture. We are understanding it now completely the way it is. Then we come to know the path of the Lord, and then one becomes a pure devotee. These are the steps. How one ultimately goes to the final goal, following these steps. Okay, that's the end. This is from where? It's from Srimad Bhagavatam. Very famous verses, starting with Shinvatam Sakatha Krishna Punya Shivana Kirtana Vidyansto Hipatarani Vidunoti Surit Satam. Those five verses, which Prabhupada has mentioned in many places. Those 5 verses tell us about the whole process of achieving Krishna consciousness from A to Z. And because these verses are so important, Srila Prabhupada included them in the poem he wrote on the ship Jalatuta. He inserted these verses in that poem. These 5 verses are so essential. Okay, so we stop. Completed now. Last mantra. Hare Krishna Prabhu, when Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga will lead us to Bhakti? Only when we add devotional service attitude in that. When we say yoga, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga has the word yoga. So yoga means there is some presence of Bhakti. Some Bhakti is there. Little bit. That's what makes it progress to the next level. Which are the 5 verses? It was written on the slide starting from 1:12:17, I think, yes. 1:12:17. Shinvatam Swakataha Krishna starts from there. 1:12:17. So 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 5 verses. 1, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. Any question other than this? If yes, please raise your hand. Those who wanted to read. Next unit. Unit 5. Unit Updeshamrit. You can read in that. Okay. Gopi Manohar Prabhu, do you have a question?
Yes, Prabhu. In this paragraph, we read that hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord itself is an act of piety. But what sometimes we understand that Papa and Punya, these are material and devotion to service to Lord is an transcendental act. So how do we understand in that perspective, Prabhuji?
Thank you, Prabhu. So why this is mentioned here, that hearing and chanting about the Lord is an act of piety. This is mentioned for those people who might think, if we just spend time hearing and chanting, what about all the good things that we have to do in life? So Krishna is telling, just if you sit and hear about Krishna or chant about Krishna, you are doing good things. You are getting punya also by doing that. So you don't have to then worry about punya karma. This itself is pious act. Right? So just to sit here and chant, you are getting all the benefits of being charitable, being austere, being a samaja sevi, and all that. Punya you are getting just by sitting and hearing and chanting. So this to encourage hearing and chanting. Okay. Is Brahminical qualities, peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom? Is this right? Yes, Prabhu. It's given in Bhagavad-gita, no? Sama, Dama, Tapa, Saucham. That verse. Brahminical qualities are many. Those primary ones are mentioned there. Then in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are some more mentioned. But yes, in essence, yes, these are the qualities.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have 2 questions. The first one, you said that a person can surrender to karma and jnana. My question is how it actually looks like, if you can emphasize more on that.
Can you please repeat, Mataji, the process of surrender?
You said that a person can surrender to karma and jnana.
Yes.
If I understood properly. So I wonder how it practically looks like, if you can say a few more words.
Okay, so surrender through karma means that I understand that Krishna has given me everything. Okay, just like you are working for a boss. My boss is paying me salary. So I should be very loyal and honest in my job. I'm working hard. The company is getting benefit. So I'm working for the growth of my boss. And while I'm working for the growth of my boss, I'm also getting growth. So there you are surrendering to the desire of the boss, but you are not surrendering out of love for the boss. You're surrendering out of a sense of honesty, duty, morality. That's called surrendering karma through work. Now, surrendering jnana means what? Understanding that Krishna is absolute truth. He's Bhagavan. He's the supreme power, supreme controller. So I must surrender. That feeling is there. That knowledge inspired surrender is there. Right? That's called surrender in knowledge. I mean, say surrender in bhakti. You surrender to Krishna, which means you follow Krishna's advice because you love Krishna.
Thank you. I have one more question, if it's okay. In material world, Paramatma is guardian of the jiva. How Paramatma is manifested in spiritual world?
No Paramatma in this picture.
So this aspect of Krishna doesn't exist at all in spiritual world, or it's manifested on some other way.
See, what is Paramatma doing basically? Paramatma's job is, because you are away from Krishna, so Krishna wants to help you still. Right? So he has come in the form of Paramatma. Fine. Now, when one goes back to spiritual world, you are totally united with Krishna in desire, in purpose. And Krishna is there with you, in front of you. So whatever job Paramatma is doing from inside the heart, Krishna is there available for you to do that job there, first of all. Second thing, what is Paramatma doing? Paramatma is witnessing, like, okay, now you're doing a wrong action, or you're doing a right action. Wrong action has to be punished, right action, you have to be rewarded. He's witnessing, he's guiding. But once you are a pure soul, then many of these aspects of the Lord, that is not required. Now you're pure, so you are not going to do any messy thing there as such, So he doesn't have to always be on a lookout. What is he doing? Watch out, Therefore, Paramatma has a specific role, and that role is not required in the spiritual world. Therefore, Paramatma doesn't exist. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can say, like, I gave you that example, no? Jiva Goswami says, a child is going to a fair and the child wants to go alone. And father says, I'll come with you. And the child says, if you come with me, it will be boring because you will tell me, don't do this, don't do that. So I want to go alone. So the father says, okay, you don't want to take me? Take my minister. So Paramatma is like that. He has come to assist us in a material journey. But it's Krishna's expansion, so it's Krishna only. Krishna playing that role. Yes, okay. Thank you. Sanatana.
Hey Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Prabhuji, when you were explaining about the conditioned souls struggling to become a pure devotee, and then he gets into the worldly affair, and then you said it is okay because till the time he actually becomes a pure devotee, he could fall into those worldly things. are we also saying that a person might, skip regulatory principle? He might fall down from, holding on to the four regulatory principles. And sometimes he might commit a sin or commit a mistake. So are these also, part of that, or this is completely different, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
So when we talk about this worldliness, here it means that your situations force you to act in a wrong way. You're not doing such wrong things deliberately, but your situation is forcing you. Like I gave the example, right? When the people around you are so crooked and cunning, and still you have to be with them just because you are working with them together. So that time, what you have to do, though you know Vaishnava should not be like this, Vaishnava should be very simple-hearted, right? Isn't it? But then you also will have to sometimes tell a lie. You will also sometimes try to save your job, You cannot tell, okay, let my job go. If that person's job is saved, it is saved. No. So you will act in some selfish manners in those situations. That's called worldliness here. Understanding? So if your situation is forcing you to not follow, not deliberately, I am doing something wrong, not that. My situation is forcing me, then that kind of worldliness is forgiven.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Bhakti Mataji. Let's just give me an example. Sorry, Bhakti Mataji. Just one thought came in my mind. Like Srila Prabhupada was asked by a devotee, if I am going to a foreign country to preach Krishna consciousness, and I don't get vegetarian food there to eat and survive. I'm in such a situation. So what then should I do? Then Prabhupada said, eat meat and preach Krishna consciousness. Fine. But then he said, only if you're going to die, eat meat. Otherwise, you can survive without eating, so you survive. But if there is a situation like, if I don't eat now, I'm going to die. In that situation, let's say if you eat meat, that's an exhibition of worldliness, or that's an exhibition of sinful mentality, right? You have done a sinful activity. But Krishna will forgive in that situation, understanding that your situation was so extreme and you could not really help yourself. So when those kinds of moments come, a devotee may not really act as a devotee. Giving another example, Parikshit Maharaj was so thirsty, right? And then he went to the ashram of that sage Shamika, and he saw Shamika is meditating. So Parikshit Maharaj got really angry that I am thirsty, I'm king of the whole planet, I'm emperor, I should be respected, and this Brahmana is doing none of these duties. So in an angry mood, he took that dead snake and put it around the neck of the sage. Isn't it correct? Now what Parikshit Maharaj did was wrong. Was it not wrong? How can a Vaishnava treat someone like this, that you put a dead snake around the neck of someone? Isn't it right? But Sripad explains there, because that vega of thirst was so strong, the vega of thirst was so strong that for a moment he lost his good intelligence. So he mentions such kind of offenses are forgiven by the Lord. Understanding? Okay, Prabhu. So that's not deliberate, that is situational. Bhakti Mataji. Bhakti Mataji, you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, whenever there is a transition from the Karma Kanda platform to the Jnana platform, then to the Bhakti platform, sometimes it can also happen, right, that you might at times, at situations, you go backwards rather than going forwards. Like you understand that you're trying to, from the Jnana platform, just elevate to the Bhakti platform, but there are situations which can get you backwards. So how to prevent these when you're realizing it? Like, can there be a transition like that?
Yeah, one can slip downwards also, it's possible.
So like when you're realizing it, how do you prevent such things from happening, that you understand, okay, that you are getting tapped in a backward direction?
In that situation, if you are understanding, then we should pray for help to Krishna. Or if you know devotees who are very strong and take us out of that situation, then we should run to their shelter.
Okay.
Please help. I'm in a troubled moments in my life.
Okay. Thank you.
One should approach for help, seek help. Then one can become safe. One can remain safe on the path. All right. Anything else? You'll have one more quiz coming to you after 2 days, which is the last quiz for this section of 4 mantras. And next Sunday, which is 4th of June, is your date for submitting the essays, the quizzes, all that stuff, right? 4th June. So you have 1 week time, 7 into 24 hours, which means a lot of time. So you can use that time to complete all these things and send to us. Fine. All right. See you for the exam. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhuji, I just had a question. What time, Prabhuji, on June 4th? Till what time you would accept the submissions on June 4th?
It's till 12 midnight.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, few days relaxation, Prabhuji, for the quiz and the OBA, please. Beg of you.
You can take extra time for OBA, but I think you should complete the quiz by 4th.
Yeah, okay, quiz we will try.
Doing quiz is not so tough, sharp. Anyway, you are studying for exams, you're preparing everything, you'll go through the material. So just solve the quiz also, it will take 10-15 minutes to solve the quiz. OBA, I can understand if you have to write essays, it's long. But quiz you should complete, because when you complete the quiz, then only we sit down and we collect all the marks of all the students and put it together to get the final score. Otherwise, someone completes it now, after 2 weeks, someone else completes. So again open the records, get their marks, put it in the Excel sheets, waste of time. So you complete by one date and then you send. This is the problem, even when you don't send the essays on time, generally I don't correct the essays till the whole batch has completed the essays. So because it's difficult for me, to every time open the essay and correct it. Otherwise, whole batch has done it. I'll sit for all the essays at once and complete in a couple of hours. But if you send me 2 days, someone sends, and after 4 days, someone else sends, then it's very difficult to correct them. So you send me by a particular date, I can correct them all together. It's fast, it saves time. All right, fine.
Prabhu,
the
essay 800 words?
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Without certificate, as I'm doing, I have to only answer the quizzes.
You have essay also, no? One essay is there for Ishopanishad.
From those 3 topics you've given.
Yes, choose one.
So quiz and the essay.
Yes. The words of essays have to be 800, around 800 for each, not that you combine together and then you say 800. For each, it's 800. And if possible, put the word count in the document itself, that your essay has these many words. So you can put the count there. It's 821 words, 869 words. It is 1500 words. Some people write essays of 1500 words also. So you can mention the number of words there. Bhakti Mataji.
Prabhuji, sorry, I had the question earlier. My hand was raised.
Okay, Anita Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have written next weekend, so I can take the quiz.
Sorry?
So I'm traveling next weekend. So what can I do for my makeup for my exam?
Don't travel, Mataji. Give the exam.
Prabhuji, I'm going for my initiation. I'm getting my initiation. So I have to travel with Balaji.
I'm just joking. You give the exam some other week.
Is it possible, can I get my quiz earlier so I can do it on time?
Quiz will come after tomorrow.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Prabhu, you have to write a two OB, right, sir?
Two S's, yes. Yes, Surya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, what will be the timing of the CBA exam?
I mentioned it on the message, no? Which day is CBA, which day is Shloka. And the timings are always the class timings.
Prabhuji, but on Sundays it is very difficult for us to sit on one place. If you could change the timing, then it will be very convenient for us.
We'll try and let you know much. Okay,
Thank you.
Vishaka Mataji.
Prabhu, you mentioned 800 words for each, but there is just one essay that we have to do, right?
Okay, wake up. Two essays per unit. It is being told so many times since day one. 2 essays per unit. 2 essays per unit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sadarinam Param.
Yeah, between the quiz 2, no, there was questions which had 3 answers.
We'll take care of that. Don't worry.
No, I got 0, even though
I said we'll take care of that. Like some answers are correct and some are wrong, but still you'll get 0 because the whole thing is considered together. So we'll manually correct it. You know, in Google form, there's autocorrect option. So in autocorrect, it does that. Even if one is wrong, whole thing is wrong. Then manually later on, we have to check and then correct it. So we'll do that, Prabhu. Don't worry. Fine. Thank you. Anything else? Tulsi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In the closed book exam, are we meant to write an essay there as well?
In the closed book exams, what do you have to write? The essays? No.
An essay as well. No long book answers. Okay.
No.
Thank you.
No. In CBA, you'll have only short questions. The questions are given to you. The question bank is given to you. You don't have to write long answers in CBA.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, but we have 3 phases like karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas. And then I hear that there is like different, like jnana misra bhakti, like that. How many types are there, Prabhu, in according to shastras or this thing? Like how many types of karmis are there, bhaktas are there, jnanis are there?
It's not mentioned anywhere like that. In different places, there are different categorizations given. Right? But there's no one big chart, you know, where all are put together and explained.
Okay.
And you see, this categorization is as per the utility, no? Because as such, there can be thousands of groups made based on each single difference between 2 categories. So the categorization is based on utility. How do I want to explain the subject matter? Within the Jnana Mishra Bhakta also, then you can categorize further, then make 5 categories or 10 categories, right? So that categorization can go infinitely, actually, because there is no limit to the number of souls. There is no limit to the level of their consciousness. I hope you're understanding.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Uma Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, your voice is not coming properly. Mataji, internet is not.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, now you can hear me?
Yes.
I wanted to know for the sloka recitation, how will it be?
We'll tell you the mantra number, or the first or the second mantra, like that, and then you have to speak. You just have to memorize 2, right? And there are only two to memorize and two to answer. So basically you have to tell us both. But in Gita and other places, you have a list of shlokas, a big list of shlokas, and we ask only two. So you tell us the shloka, you tell us the meaning of the shloka.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Vaishnava.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So you'll actually give us the order in which we will be presenting, and we just join as per the order that you gave.
Wait for that day, no, please. Let that day
But it's
come.
on June 3rd, right? June 3rd,
yeah,
right,
it's on
Prabhuji?
June 3rd. On June 3rd,
fine.
you'll get the schedule.
Order.
Fine.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sadhana, Prabhu.
Prabhu, in the first quiz, while scrolling down, Prabhuji, my ABC thing got changed. Later when I submitted, I just realized. So just thought, yeah, basic, like when I press B, then to scroll down, I have to touch the screen. Then otherwise, this order which I put, it got changed. Just thought of telling others to be careful, right? Because it
While
changes.
answering the quizzes, you are saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Answering the quizzes. Okay.
You have to scroll down the screen. So if you press that bottom button, just arrow button, the ABC ranks change actually. Mark will change. We have to scroll properly, otherwise mark will change.
Wow, okay. So what he's trying to say is that when you have answered the quiz on your mobile phone, mobile phone or computer?
On PC I did actually.
On PC, then if you scroll down using the arrow key, then instead of scrolling down, it changes the answer which you have selected. So
yeah,
when you submit, the wrong answer, selected answer will be submitted and you'll get wrong there. So that's a piece of caution from Prabhu. All right. Okay, same happened to you also. No concession for what has happened in the past like that. No concession. All right. So let's stop here. See you next week.